Evening, everybody. So I'm going to update you on the Stats Canada and their data grab story that should scare you, according to Brian Lilley, and he's printed a news article about it. So we'll look at that. We'll look at the big 9 banks in Canada, or at least 5 of them, and we'll look at what Justin Trudeau says about that. He was questioned on it in question period today, and we'll see all that. So Brian Lilley, thank you very much. And here is your article. It says, quote, Stats Canada's creepy data grab should scare you. If I asked you nicely, would you hand over to me all of your personal data, including your name, address, social insurance number, and every single spending item, bill payment, and bank deposit? Probably not. And chances are that most Canadians, regardless of their political leaning, would not want that kind of information being handed over to a government department, especially not without knowledge or consent. Yet, that is what Statistics Canada is trying to do. They want Canada's 9 biggest banks and credit unions to hand over everything they have on as many as 500,000 Canadians, and they don't want the banks telling their customers. So I could only find a list of the 5 biggest banks. The 5 largest banks in Canada are RBC, Toronto Dominion, TD, Scotiabank, Bank of Montreal, BMO, and the Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, CIBC. So those are the big 5, and then apparently there's 9. So I would imagine that extends to, I don't have a list of them. I wish I did. Sorry. I saw this yesterday, and earlier today, while question period was happening, and I was busy doing some other stuff, so I couldn't watch it as it was live, and they don't post it till tomorrow. But Global News was there, and they recorded the piece that was important. So we'll look at that in a minute. But here's the tweet. It says, Trudeau once again blaming Harper, this time because he got caught ordering StatsCan to spy on personal banking info of Canadians. Question period. Hashtag QP. And, well, here it is. Here's the question and the answer from Mr. Trudeau. Well, Candace Bergen asks the question. Trudeau does his best not to answer it. The reading from a paper really gets me. I mean, if you're going to be an actor as a prime minister and just play the role instead of actually making any choices, at least memorize your lines, for goodness sakes. Okay.
There were disturbing reports this weekend that Stats Canada has informed banks and credit card companies that it expects them to hand over personal financial data of at least 500,000 Canadians without their knowledge or consent. Even worse, banks won't be allowed to inform their customers that the government is following every single one of their transactions. With a long history of government privacy breaches, Canadians are rightly worried. Why are the Liberals collecting the personal data of Canadians without telling them?
Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, our government is ensuring that the personal data of Canadians are protected. Statistics Canada will use the anonymized data for statistical purposes only. No personal information will be made public. I understand Statistics Canada is actively engaged with the Privacy Commissioner's office on this project and is working with them to ensure Canadians' banking information remains protected and private. High-quality and timely data are critical to ensuring the government programs remain relevant and effective for Canadians.
Honourable Opposition House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberal government plans to access the personal financial information of Canadians without their knowledge or consent. Personal information like bill payments, online purchases, credit card transactions, cash withdrawals and deposits, even e-transfers between family members, and the list goes on. Will the Prime Minister do the right thing and immediately assure Canadians that this intrusion into their lives will be stopped?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians rightly expect that government agencies and groups like Statistics Canada work with the Privacy Commissioner to ensure that their private lives are protected. But, Mr. Speaker, need I remind you and all Canadians that it was the Conservative government that chose to stop the long-form census, to cancel the long-form census as a way of protecting people's private information. What that led to was more policy based on ideology and less policy based on evidence like we are doing now. Their attacks on data and information continue.
So not only will he not assure Canadians that he will respect their privacy, he goes on the attack to blame the Harper government for canceling the long-form census as the reason why he's invading Canadians' privacy. I don't quite follow the logic. The Liberal logic defies my ability to follow it. I can't. I don't understand what they're talking about most of the time. And all of these NPCs over here nodding away in agreement, I'm sure they don't either. And the first part of Trudeau's answer, the reading, it seems to me like he kind of perused it once. He didn't actually read all the words. He kind of perused it and said, "Oh yeah, I get the gist of it." And when he got on the floor to read it out there, that was the first time he'd read all of the words, and that's where the stuttering comes from, et cetera, et cetera. I've done that a few times, and I realize it halfway through. I'm reading the article, and I'm like, "Oh no, I didn't know that word was there, or that turn of phrase was strange." That's exactly what happened to Trudeau on the first part of the question there. So unprepared, just not ready, Justin. You're just not ready. No, all these, you're just not ready. I found this today, CBC News publishing articles in Arabic, or I'll be honest, I don't know the language here, but I know this is a departure. Our official language in Canada is French and English. Our bilingual, taxpayer-funded CBC is now adding another language to be printed in Canada. I'm not sure I understand the wisdom. I'm not sure I get it. I don't get it at all. This article is about how, well, the link's in the description. You can get to the English story here. Let's read the title. How Canada barred adoptions from Muslim countries and used Sharia law to do it. Oh, well, I mean, I guess the language was appropriate in the first place. Angela Merkel will reportedly quit party leadership after disappointing state elections. So apparently Angela Merkel has been under fire for the last 2 years for her immigration policies, and this is coming to a head. And it's funny, the articles that I read have said that she's stepping down as leader and will quit party leadership by 2021. That seems like a long time from now. So I think there's more to this story. I think we'll see more as the time goes on. Interesting. This is one of those people who has been in power for a long, long time. So her exiting the world stage will shake things up quite a lot. I'm interested to see what happens, especially in the age of Trump and the rise of nationalism in the EU. Merkel was kind of the iron fist that was holding it all together, and without her, maybe we see a Europe that is not as centrally controlled. But that'll take some time to unwind. Just look at Brexit. The last story for tonight is Austria has concerns about the UN Migration Pact might back out. Now, this is a while ago. It says 19 days ago. I just wanted to underline again, there are a lot of countries who are very concerned about the UN Migration Pact and are backing out because of sovereignty concerns with this pact. If you don't know about the UN Migration Pact, I do some videos about it. There's a lot of people talking about it. Justin Trudeau is going to sign it on Canada's behalf in December. So there's nothing we can do about that at this point in time other than contacting your local MP if they're liberal or if they're not liberal and letting people know about it. The Conservatives are talking about it. They are bringing it up in question period. And they are talking and memeing and all sorts of things about it. All of that said, there's nothing we can do. And Mr. Scheer hasn't actually taken a position for himself. I don't know if he will pull Canada out of it if he becomes prime minister next, or if he'll try and placate the UN and follow their rules to some extent. I'm not sure. And again, I'm not sure how Mr. Scheer intends to close the safe third country loophole that the Trudeau government has been failing to close for the last 3 years as well. But he hasn't told us, and he hasn't really taken a position on that either. So I know there's been people who've been telling me that I'm giving Scheer too hard a time and that I need to be patient and I don't understand what I'm watching, and elections are won in the last 6 weeks. I watched Donald Trump say from the very first day that he started running for office that I'm going to build the wall. I'm going to lock Hillary up, which, I mean, we're still waiting, Mr. Trump. We're still waiting. And there was a whole bunch of other stuff, but Trump wasn't afraid to take a position on anything. And to most news agencies' inability to keep up, he took position after position after position, and people called him racist, misogynistic, pussy-grabbing, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. All sorts of names, everything. Nothing stuck to him, not because he was Teflon. I mean, he is Teflon, but not the reason he's Teflon is not because of some magical power. The reason he's Teflon is because he speaks truth as he sees it. And his truth actually makes sense, unlike all of these lunatic leftists who believe that canceling the long-form census gives them the right to look into all of our banking information itemized with our SIN number attached. No, Mr. Trudeau, that's an overreach. No one likes it. No one likes you. I can't wait till we can kick you out like Germany's kicked out Angela Merkel. Thanks for watching. peoplespartyofcanada.ca. Check it out. October 19th. Or October 21st, 2019. Haha, there we go. We'll get there. It's late. Sorry. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.